When Miami's in your town,
yeah,
you're probably going to go watch that game. Even if you're just a casual fan, adding Kevin De Bruyne to that only increases that.
So Kevin De Bruyne announces that he is leaving Manchester City at the end of the summer, and that's why it is today's top topic.
Hey, so this is huge news.
It is, because this is one of the most decorated players for Manchester City, and
won countless awards, countless accolades.
Mm-hmm.
The question becomes, now that we sort of have, okay, this is the breadth of your career at Manchester City. Remember, obviously he was at Chelsea. It didn't work out too well. Leaves, comes back to the Premier League, signs with Manchester City, and I think has a ridiculously storied career. But also, is it enough to say this is the best player in Manchester City history?
Which some people are having that conversation.
He belongs in the conversation for sure,
without a doubt. But I mean, to me, Sergio Aguero is Manchester City to me. Depending on what era you're sort of focusing on, because there's been like a little bit overlapping sort of eras or whatever. But Kevin De Bruyne, to me, is even when he left Chelsea and he was at Wolfsburg for a couple of years, he had a couple, he was already sort of shining in Bundesliga for a little while. A couple nice Champions League moments, and Wolfsburg played in Champions League a couple times while he was there. I remember that. And there was even when did he sign with Manchester City?
I'm actually going to look that up because I wanted to.
Yeah, what year?
2015.
So right when we started the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. So in that time, it already felt like an exciting time for not only his career personally, but an improvement for Manchester City.
And it was a bit of a coup for Manchester City to go and get this player, because they were like, he could have gone anywhere at that point.
Right. And it couldn't have been a better decision for also, him and for
him
and
Pep Guardiola. What a great fit. And I think that's why Sergio Aguero, I think, will have, I don't know why I said it that way, Sergio Aguero, will have more iconic moments. In particular, Aguero will live in infamy.
Yeah.
His statue outside the stadium probably gets the most fans who takes photos, in front of it.
Yeah.
For good reason. But I think if we look at the best player, for me, it would have to be either David Silva, who ushered in the possession style. Post money, right? If you talk about when the money first takes over Manchester City, you've got guys like, Robinho is probably the first player you would think of in that era. You have probably some players that are great. For me, David Silva was the one who was like, this is that next level player. They're going to create the possession style. They're going to be able to sort of, dictate what happens in the middle of the pitch. All of a sudden, there's a lot more talent. There's a lot more available skill in Manchester City because of David Silva. And obviously had a great career as well. Yeah. I believe he won the Premier League 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. For me, he ran so that Kevin De Bruyne could walk, or whatever it was. He walked so ran. Whatever. Yeah. I do know there are the two.
Yeah, now Kevin De Bruyne is crawling right now.
Yeah. Whatever that cliche is, David Silva was the first one, so that everyone else can sort of come behind him. So for me, maybe he just interested a little bit because of how influential he was, but I don't think that takes anything away from Kevin De Bruyne. I think Kevin De Bruyne should have a statue. I know they're already talking about him having a statue. Pep Guardiola even mentioned, there's a lot of players that can get the assists, that can score the goals, that can do the things Kevin De Bruyne can, but can they do it over the amount of time Kevin De Bruyne has
I would argue there are not a lot of players that can even do what he can.
Well, I'm going to listen to Pep on this one.
I mean, Pep doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen to me.
Wow, Jose Mourinho too over here.
Okay, got your nose. Did you see Mourinho got I believe a three game ban for a little nose,
little mini vacay.
But Kevin De Bruyne in particular, I think he is the type of player that I wish I was. They aren't like, when I think of the way I grew up playing basketball was I mimicked Penny Hardaway, right? I liked the idea of a tall point guard that was very versatile. That was that's how I wanted to be. And when I think of myself as a footballer, not even close to the ability.
Oh, everyone knows you're not Penny or this guy. Don't worry about it.
Nobody.
You don't have to quantify that at all.
The way you see it in your head, the way you want, tomorrow when I play,
right,
I'm gonna do that.
Right.
But Kevin De Bruyne, I think to me is kind of that where it is it's not even like he's very pragmatic or very stylish. He's not a a midfielder that is like really.
He doesn't fit in one category. He's not like the flair guy, and he's not the gets the job done guy.
But he
does a little bit of everything.
Exactly, and he manages to get kind of both of those things. My favorite thing about him in general is that you almost can't really tell if he's left or right footed, and that goes with. He can send a 30-yard pinged pass with his left or right foot exactly on a through ball perfectly at your pace to set it up for you to take a shot.
But he also make like a marauding run through your entire team as well.
Right.
Like he can literally do it all. I think also for me, the intensity, and maybe it's different because you see it on his face. He is very pale. Yeah. And he becomes very red. You know what I mean? His intensity knows no bounds. I mean, he'll go after his own coach. Yeah, and that to me is
done
like
that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me, I think the one negative on his career is his national team. You know, the national team had, he was part of that golden era for Belgium. And they just never found that big trophy. You know what I mean? They sort of kept getting close and close and close. And, some people blame Lukaku. Some people blame Roberto Martinez. Some people blame other folks. But in the end of the day, he did everything he possibly could. He's one of those guys that leaves it on the pitch every game.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like his international career is something where it's just like
a missed opportunity.
Or missed opportunity. Just like he just when you think of like amazing plays of from Kevin De Bruyne, you never think of him wearing a Belgium shirt while he's doing it. It's always been essentially wearing a Manchester City.
You look at him, hands on knees in a Belgium shirt, looking up, covered in flop sweat while Lukaku's crying. That's what I picture in my head.
So it's just such a. But look, I mean, some of just real quick, his CV: second in all time in Premier League assists, sixth time Premier League champ, 2 FA Cups, 5 EFL Cups, 1 Champions League winner, and arguably. It probably should have been at least maybe even 2 or 3 Champions League if it wasn't for the curse that Manchester City just had with either VAR and getting in the way of certain plays or just terrible misses. Raheem Sterling missing unbelievable chances.
I was there the night it came to fruition and they won.
Right.
And I wasn't happy for a lot of players on that team, being an Arsenal fan, but I was happy for Kevin De Bruyne. But now here comes the big question: where does he go?
Where does he
said he's leaving? His career's not done. He's just leaving Manchester City. So where does he go? Reporting has it as 2 locations, two places where he can arrive: either Saudi Arabia or MLS.
Okay.
I'm on the boat that it's probably going to be MLS.
It seems like that's where he's going, given the all the reports say that he wants to go play in MLS, basically for himself and his family, and it seems like they'll be happier there.
Okay, where? I think New York City FC.
Right.
It's perfect. It's a city team. They're in desperate need of someone to be more creative in the midfield. It can't all happen. It can't all be Maxi Morales, who's 38, if I'm not mistaken, 39. They clearly need someone, and a player of his ilk would be game-changing for a team like New York City.
Yeah. Him going to, so we do know the report said that San Diego was the team that I think that initially had his discovery rights.
There were rumors that
now they said they've been upfront and said that Kevin De Bruyne is not in their plans and they have no intention of going for him. So New York City FC seems like the lateral move. It's already City Football Group. We would understand it, and just for this, as a fan, I would enjoy that too.
Hey, we're season ticket holders. We'd enjoy going to that,
right? But I do think, just for the sake of debate, of like, if he didn't go to New York City FC, where could he go? That I think he would thrive, and that's probably, I would think, the Columbus Crew.
Right.
They're not necessarily they're in need of more attacking options versus a midfielder, but who says no to Kevin De Bruyne? Kevin De Bruyne playing under Wilfried Nancy, a team that is already so dynamic, players moving out of position. They're like, hey, the striker's playing center back today, and they don't seem to like miss a step. Columbus would be a fun team to actually see Kevin De Bruyne play in. So,
right. But what do you think the likelihood of Kevin De Bruyne and his family being able to choose? And this is no slight against the state of Ohio.
Please, like Ohio. I mean, we all do. But JD Vance, Ohio produced JD Vance.
There's some trash there. There's some trash there.
We have to.
I ain't gonna lie. There's some trash.
You got to own up to it.
Yeah, but whatever. We've had a blast when we've been to Ohio.
Yeah,
but looking at it, right, when you spin the globe, you know what I mean, and your hand lands on the USA, and you think, where do I want to live? Do you think they would choose to go to Columbus?
No, I don't. No. I mean, I don't. If
and regardless of discovery rights. You're Kevin De Bruyne, Don Garber's like, baby, put the pin on the map where you want to go. We'll make it happen.
Exactly. No, I mean, I don't know how old Kevin De Bruyne's kids are, but I don't think they're like, Papa, Columbus, Ohio, please. I don't think they're doing that.
It's the Buckeyes. That's not happening.
Bro, I didn't know you were into the SEC like that. Or
Damn, bro.
Do the Buckeyes play in the SEC? I don't even know.
No one knows. If you say you know,
I think,
you pretend
ACC,
you know.
I think.
Big Ten. They're in the
Big Ten.
No, you could have made that up, and we would have no idea.
Okay. Anyway, no, it's a look,
the Ohio State.
It's always obviously, you know, when it's the big
the coast.
It's always, it's not even just the coast, but it's Miami, it's
LA
or
New York.
or New York.
New
or
York
whatever.
Seems to not have the fanfare that it.
But you think
that
about
used to have, but it's a big city, so you get
the stadium in 27. I mean, it no better move right now, right? To have De Bruyne there, but I understand there is the only thing I have in mind is that Kevin De Bruyne, the last few years, has had like nagging injuries. I don't necessarily think it's a huge risk to sign Kevin De Bruyne.
I think, yeah.
But it's something, it's on my mind. I'm like,
I honestly think if we had a room full of the GMs and sporting directors in MLS and you'd be the only one with that on your mind.
That's I don't know. Like even in this last I don't know what, like 2 years, and maybe it's partly just the depth that Manchester City have, but Kevin De Bruyne hasn't really started every game. He's maybe he'll have 2 games he starts and then sits 1, and I don't know if it's injury or rest or Champions League and just rotation and stuff like that. So that's when I heard he was leaving, and obviously there is a possibility that he can come to New York City FC. That's literally the only thing on my mind. I'm like, is he injury?
Nah, you're crazy.
Is he injury prone?
How much of that would put you off? What are you saying? This is
not
10%?
a lot. Not a lot. I'm just saying it's on my mind. It's just
ridiculous. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Not me. Does he go to Miami?
They can't. I don't think it could even work financially. No. I know you're gonna do the
what
Don
are you
Garber's
talking about?
They already have. They maneuver their roster to not only obviously pay the players that they pay, but how many international slots or whatever. Like they just can't. They can't move the money around or the international slots around enough to be able to bring a player like Kevin De Bruyne. And I don't even think they need it. They need
center backs.
They need 19-year-olds that are willing to run for Busquets, Alba, and Messi. And De Bruyne would not be helpful to Suarez. Yeah. So I
wouldn't necessarily say it wouldn't be helpful to the team. I think it'd be pretty great. Well, I think it would be, and look, we've had this argument before, but I think a traveling circus, which Miami kind of already is, circus not in a negative way. I'm saying you got to go see it. You know what I mean? When Miami's in your town, you're probably going to go watch that game. Even if you're just a casual fan, that probably raises the stakes enough for you to want to buy a ticket to an MLS match, which is why they sell so many tickets. Adding Kevin De Bruyne to that only increases that. It only increases the likelihood that you're going to want to watch this team. They're going to be blowing teams out 4-0, 4-1, 5-2. It's going to be fun to watch.
It would be
not necessary. I think. Miami stands a chance to win on their own, but I think in a way, it's like, you know what? If you're going to make it that, just add another one. Who cares?
I mean, some people care. That's what
I don't think Don's one of them. I think Donnie's like, nah, we good.
I mean, also, does MLS need De Bruyne there to help bring in more money or more interest? No, Messi does that on his own. Even if Messi was there without Suarez, without Busquets, without Alba, they would be perfectly fine with as far as attention on the team.
But I think if you're going to turn it into a Messi and friends, add a friend you didn't know he had. But I still think New York City FC is the right place for him to land.
Okay, yeah, I think long term, it would probably be for maybe to end his career. And especially with the stadium opening
and the city
in a couple of years,
the final is
it would be cool. So we'll see where he ends up. The weird thing here is that Tom Boger was reporting about the discovery rights that San Diego did not have the discovery rights, but he reported that we do not know who currently has his discovery rights.
Yeah, which is marketing.
Marketing. What is the
marketing? Why know ahead of time where he's gonna go?
No, I think the
it's like unpacking. You know, when they do it on FIFA, the first comes the flag, and you're like, wait a minute.
Okay.
Oh my God. And then, oh my God. And they're like, yo, is it?
Eden Hazard out of retirement.
But if the pack was opening and it was like his rights are being held by New York City FC, you'd be like, oh, that's where he's going.
But at the very least, if we knew where his rights were, then teams could, let's say Cincinnati had his rights, then it would be like, okay, we know Cincinnati, but do they really need him? Then they could use that as a bargaining chip.
Oh, wait, hold on. You think when Bogart said we don't know, you think he meant everybody? No, he meant we don't know. They know.
Well, Bogart doesn't know.
Bogart don't know, but the league knows.
The league knows. I'm just saying that.
The sporting directors know.
Which is why wouldn't they reveal it?
Why kill the momentum of this?
I disagree that it's gonna hurt any momentum. I think they could at the very least use it as even fans could be like, Cincy, sell the damn discovery rights.
I disagree. You don't want to know who's behind the curtain when it opens. That's the secret.
All right.
You hate marketing. You hate pizzazz. You hate buzz.
Really quick, one quick suggestion. Another pale European midfielder played for this team. They have a new head coach. They play in a big city. Chicago Fire. Chicago Fire. Bastian Schweinsteiger. The new Bastian Schweinsteiger.
I thought you were referring to Dax McCarty.
We know you didn't mention Shaqiri. Maybe Chicago. Look, I love the city of Chicago. I think Chicago is one of the great cities in this country. One of two actual cities in this country. But I don't see that being an option for people. I think when people think of Chicago, they think of like deep dish pizza. They think of sausages. They think of like cold winters. And I don't know if that's what pulls a European's hearts. You know what I mean? I honestly, that's why I think LA does so well, because they're like, wait, 78 degrees all year round? Right. All right, I'll go there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, whatever ridiculous suggestion, Carter. You said Columbus. Carter's sitting in second place at the moment. Columbus, at least the play style makes sense. Chicago is just like for the vibes.
Nah, you bugging. Columbus is not on his list. If you said to him, do you want to go to Columbus? He's like, Christopher? He wouldn't know it's a city, bro.
He speaks English just fine. I don't know why.
That was a Belgian accent.
What is this?
What are you talking about? That is a uncanny.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll chat some MLS, because there are a lot of big games this weekend. So we'll be right back after this.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We were talking MLS. Let's keep talking MLS. In fact, Inter Miami versus Toronto. I was kind of shocked at how well Toronto played in this game.
I mean, I think Toronto was also shocked at how well.
Who is us?
Robin Fraser was like, who are you guys? Yeah. I haven't seen these guys all season.
Post-game talk. Do that again, bro.
I mean, I think we didn't really spend much time talking about it until pre-season, about Insigne and everything going on with him. And
right, he wanted to leave at some point, but he's still on the team.
I don't even know if he wanted to leave. He wanted to get paid. And Toronto had found, I think, 2 alternatives for clubs that he could have gone to and still been paid. And he said no. That he didn't want to go. Yeah. So even after Robin Fraser was like, you're not in our plans. You have options. We've figured out a way for you to continue playing somewhere else. And Insigne was like, no, I'm staying, and you guys figure it out. And now he's
Weston McKennie, bro.
He's
playing well.
He didn't play the first, I think, 4 or 5 games. No. And now he's back. And I don't know how much of big deal we should make it or not. Or if
I think it depends on how he plays, right? Because I think the biggest conversation with Insigne since he's gotten to this league is his heart in it. And the same thing I think goes for Bernardeschi. There are moments under Bob Bradley where you're like, didn't look like it. Mm-hmm. There were moments under Jonathan Herman where you're like, oh, they're both fully bought in.
Sure.
And then this whole thing happens with Robin Fraser. Look, it's probably not easy. You have this idea, you're going to a new league, you're going to help build this team, and then all of a sudden you have different managers. It's not going well.
It's a bad team. It's a really bad era for Toronto.
Bernardeschi seems like he bought in under Herdman and has stayed sort of in that realm, and he had an insane. I watched it 3 times.
His goal was.
I'm like, I don't even know what foot it hit when, but somehow he got through everybody.
He did like a not a Cruyff term, but like back-heeled it to himself.
He Rabona nutmeg somebody.
I don't think there was a nutmeg. I would have to watch it back, but he kind of kicked it behind his front leg.
It is kind of a cork turn, but it goes opposite the way his foot was moving, which is why it's so weird.
He hit it with the back of his foot, like the heel, and sent it forward, and then with the same leg that he just back-heeled it, hit it with the outside of his foot, and it trickled into the net.
Whatever it is, it was crazy. And like you could see the way the players celebrate with him, and his teammates. You could see that he's a part of that. He's a part of the team.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem whatever that vaping situation was that happened early on in his MLS career is no longer a part of it. Yeah, right. We were talking about it. I think at some point I said they were going to get a wooden vape as opposed to a wooden spoon,
right?
Because that's how bad they were, right? Mm-hmm. That seems to have gone. The question is it the same with Insigne? The way he played in this game makes me believe even if he's not fully bought in, he's at least presenting himself that way. He's trying to make the amends there.
Sure.
And dude, he banged it off the crossbar once, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think it was two. I know for sure it was one. He could have had 2 goals in this game. Toronto could have had 4 or 5 goals.
Toronto should have won this game, realistically. And this is where, the concept... Whatever Miami is, I almost, it's remarkable to me that even with the superstars that they have, that they have not been blown out in a game yet.
Right.
Because their defending is arguably comical. It is so obvious that they're basically saying, we're going to give up the midfield and say we're gonna have so many attacking options, and get the young guys to defend and run around, and Yannick Bright and Aviles and guys like Noah Allen and do all the work.
Yeah.
And we will make sure that up top we're gonna put the goals away. And then the games that they're not gonna put the goals away every single game because. Yes, Inter Miami are.
It is a lot like when uncles play with their kids, like play with the kids at
right,
a game.
Right.
Like, all right, we're gonna be up here, and then y'all do all the work.
Exactly.
It kind of feels that way.
And not to say Inter Miami are predictable because they're not, but some teams are gonna defend a little bit better, or they're gonna bunker down and just say like, all right, we understand. They do those like third runs kind of a thing where it's like instead of a 1-2, it's like it's the one and then a third player is making the run where that initial passer probably would have made or something like that. And so you understand there's a lot of like pinging the ball in around at the top of the box. 1-2, back to Messi, whatever.
Everybody's going to focus on Messi.
Everybody gets lost for a second.
And then here comes, a Scandinavian guy you've never heard of running past you.
So we've already seen it. And I think the way this team looks versus the way they looked under Tata, that's clearly way more the strategy when it's up top. They really like 1-2 passes, making those runs to then maybe send in like some slipped pass or a chip pass or whatever, and they tried it all game against Toronto and they just couldn't get that ball through. And then the goals that they end up scoring were a little bit like
hodgepodgey,
messier for the lack of a better word, no pun intended. but it's not going to work every single game.
No.
And they're going and they just got lucky in this game that they just didn't give up more goals. It was remarkable. The ball hitting the post, ball just kind of going wide.
I think
Calendar
also
making some important saves.
Yeah, exactly. And Toronto not having enough possession really hurt them. But the possession they had, they could have hurt them. Had those balls gone in, if they were a bit more clinical in the final third, we're talking about a massive loss here for Miami.
Sure.
Because Toronto, even with 37% possession, I don't know if maybe you want to look that up, they played so much better. When they had the ball, they were way more incisive. They were way more direct. They got in front of the goal in the moments they had to. I was really impressed. Like, this is the way. It was 37?
33%.
Damn, bro.
I'll never work again.
This is why you don't belong on soccer media, bro.
Damn. Well, anyway, this podcast is now a cake pop podcast.
The podcast is cake.
Yeah.
You don't get it.
You really love this meme. This kid loves this meme. If you don't know what we're talking about, you got to listen to the audio, by the way. Hit the like button right now if you don't know what we're talking about. I'm really impressed. I also don't think this scares, if you're a Miami fan, this is a blip on the radar.
No,
this is nothing. Also, you have a massive game coming up.
Yes, the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And given the way how it went last year, where I forgot it was a Tigres that got knocked out by. I don't remember if it was that last year, but it was where Messi didn't play in the first leg,
right.
And then they get smacked away in Mexico. But no, the first game was against LAFC in the first leg of this round, and one goal in that game. There was just some controversy, right? So obviously, the upcoming game in the second leg on Wednesday, they need to win that game. They're already down 1 goal, so they have to score a couple to win. But the controversy in that game was Nathan Ordaz in that first leg was a red card that VAR looked and recommended a red card for a. There
was no foul called. Nope. VAR's like, yo, that's a red. Ref looks at it and he goes, how about this? It's a yellow. And then that dude stays on and scores the game winner.
Yeah.
And Mascherano was like, that is a foul. That's a foul here. It's a foul on the moon, which I have never heard of.
Yeah. And
that's a red card, I should say, on the moon.
Yeah. This is something where, we're looking at it now. And
what I think people talk about the slap, it's the elbow that goes across the face. But that's why Falcone. Yeah, Falcone. It says Falcon on his back. I was just joking. But that's why Falcone's face is already veering back when he gets slapped. Getting elbowed in the face.
I don't think the elbow made contact.
No, you're way wrong. Go back, Carter.
Go back. We'll look at it again. And Nathan Ryan is obviously very lucky.
Watch. Do you see how his face already peels back before he gets slapped? Because the elbow just connected with the side of his cheek.
I mean, we can't see it because we're looking at.
You absolutely can. Right there. See, the smack happened. His face was already bent back because he just look. You can see his face jitter.
It's remarkable that this is not given as a red. Everything's a red nowadays, and the fact that he looked at it and was
Messi was like, of course, and then he's like, wait, what? Messi was telling your boy like, yo, get away from me. Yo, you figure out how to play with 10 men. Wait, what?
This is and Ordaz is
he's like, hey, my guy, good looks.
Gave him the finger guns and
my G.
My guy.
Woo! Yo,
this is
you took the heat off of me, my boy.
I'm not saying that he should have been sent off.
He 100% should have been sent off. You elbow a guy in the face and then smack him on the way down.
Yeah,
bro. There's no world. Especially you're not even on the ball. You're not fighting for the ball. There's not a ball coming for a header or something. You can convince yourself and saying I was trying to get leverage in the jump. Bro, this is off the ball. This is crazy.
It's hard for the VAR to be like, yo, I think this is a red.
Yeah.
And then to go look at it and be like, you don't even know what you're talking. How'd you become a ref?
Yeah.
Why are you in my ear, dog?
Bro, this is wild.
This seems like with the sensitivity around the hands to the face rule, face and neck and everything. Remember when I always think about this when Kaká was in MLS
and he did like the face scrape,
and
jokingly.
He did like the little jokingly face scrape to
what's his name? Aurelian Conlon.
I forgot his last name, but you know who we're talking about.
Pretty sure that's his name. Aurelian Conlon, something like that.
Aurelian, what's his last name?
Who cares?
Anyway, but you know who we're talking about. Yeah. He was playing the center back for Red Bull, and he was the French and Venezuelan, the French Venezuelan, and Kaká. Jokingly
was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we fought?
And he
got a red card.
He got a red, but not, and it wasn't even a vicious or anything. But he just touched his face in a joking way. It's like, so I think of that, and I'm like,
a cheeky little elbow to the chin.
My man he double dipped, bro. He got like,
it's a little disrespectful if you get elbowed in the face and then you feel a smack on the way down. It's a rough day.
I do not think he made contact with the elbow.
Are you blind?
Look,
get closer to the screen.
I can't, in my mind, I can't believe that a ref.
Is there a way for you to pause it? Go back and pause it right as the arm comes across.
Okay. Because
make this full screen.
There's no way that a player.
Right there. You didn't see him react to getting hit in the face and then he gets smacked. Look, bop, right here, boom. Look, see how he's already going back?
Yeah, but I don't think there was clean contact with the elbow. I can't.
Are you bugging, bro?
Hold on,
I'm
just saying. Look, we're looking at it just like the ref is. I can't imagine in my mind that a ref is gonna see a elbow make contact and not give a red there.
Carter's rewinding it and going back. Right Hold on, watch. And
he straightens his elbow, but it doesn't hit. It doesn't make contact. That's I think what's maybe saved him.
If the elbow doesn't, then he hits him with this or on the way in.
Maybe.
Carter, what's your thoughts? You just watched it with us.
How's that not a red card? I don't know.
I'm talking about whether he gets elbowed in the head or not, man. Stay with us.
We all agree it's a red card. It's just a matter
contact
of
made before the slap.
There is definite contact to the face before he slaps him, for sure.
Okay.
I think you're on the ref side.
I think that's possible.
I think you're part of the problem.
I think that is possible.
It's not possible. It's on camera.
I just don't think it was the elbow that made contact with the face. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying I can't believe he's on the field after this game, and then he ends up scoring the goal.
The argument we're having is whether an elbow made contact or another part of his arm. Contact was made. Hold on. The ref is like, that's the yellow. It's crazy. We know contact was made before a slap.
Yeah.
That's 2 contacts. Maybe the slap, maybe that's what you got to do. Next time you 2-foot somebody, slap him. And then you're like, that cleans it out.
Exactly.
It's fine.
I didn't see the 2-foot, actually.
No,
it was just a gentle slap.
A little slap. Buddy, get out there and play ball.
I'm just trying to, I guess it seems like the conversation we're trying to have is trying to rationalize how the referee could come to a yellow card.
No, I don't think we're trying to rationalize it at all.
I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I know we know the game gone, bro. I don't know how you have this many cameras, 8K, slow motion, VAR. You get to see any angle you want, and you still don't call this a red. It's crazy. The worst part is that kid goes on to score the winning goal. So now Miami are going against LAFC in the second leg, already down a goal because of my man who's has diplomatic immunity.
So obviously that game at home for Miami in the second leg against LAFC.
But it's gonna be a big one. I mean, how many times do Miami go up against a team that I think they're way better than, but already down a goal? With something to play for.
Sure,
this is gonna be fun.
So
test Mascherano's mettle a little bit.
So okay, next up, we have to talk about LA Galaxy because they are, I had seen a couple comments. We maybe about I think 3 or 4 games in, we had pointed out that LA Galaxy now had the record for the previous MLS Cup champions having a losing streak after winning MLS Cup, and it has only gotten worse after that. So they are winless. They have 2 draws, 5 losses. And now obviously Joseph Paintel has come back, but which is a huge player that they desperately needed back, but they still haven't figured out. Oh, this is a completely new team,
right?
And
they are worse than Montreal,
which is saying
that's a lot.
Wait, and Montreal have had no home games this season.
So and you're doing worse than them. They are in last place. They're currently in the wooden spoon position. Obviously, it's very early, right? And that's, I think, part of the conversation we need to have is this too early? And the other part of the conversation is, why does this keep happening in MLS teams that are competing in Champions, CONCACAF Champions Cup? Obviously, not every team. Some teams know how to deal with it. But we're talking to a team, there's 2 things at play here.
Well, I just amend that because really it is that kind of Champions Cup, but it's also MLS Cup.
Those are the 2 things at play here.
Yeah.
Post-championship run, the league has rules that make it almost impossible for you to be great the next season.
Right.
Or certainly keep it. And I interviewed David Lee with Pascal Janssen, the sporting director, the director of football, I forget his exact title, for New York City FC. And he mentioned, he goes, we know this is a thing in MLS, right? The rules prohibit you from being able to keep a championship team together most of the time.
Yeah, and I'll just add this because I had gotten some information as well because we spoke about this a couple weeks ago, and apparently, what the reason specifically why MLS teams have such a difficulty keeping their players after winning MLS Cup is because the bonuses that you win for winning MLS Cup hit your salary cap the next season. Right. So
this is like when the government says that if you find money, that's income. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. How crazy is that? I didn't earn this. I walked up on it. Right. How dare you say this is income?
We need to change the tax code to help the MLS Cup champions a little bit. I would.
My account should be like, you found that? We're gonna delete it. We're gonna delete it.
I never heard. You didn't tell me. You didn't even tell me about that.
I didn't find it. You found it and you kept it to yourself, my boy. That's the way you do
That's
it.
what it is. That's how it's good between accountant and client.
Yeah.
Secrets are important.
100%. My accountant's office is inside his Maxima.
So I would argue, watching what's happening with LA Galaxy, you have to suggest maybe some sort of change, because maybe the penalty is a little too harsh, because having to get rid of Jovic, having to get rid of Gaston Brugman, having to get rid of Delgado.
I don't even think it's important to talk about this exact situation. What I was going to say about David Lee is that he said we decided to double down and try to keep that team together, knowing it would cause issues in seasons after that.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. They didn't get a chance to win it a second time. They didn't compete the way they could. And I think the issue is greater than just LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy is yet another piece of evidence of this. Like you mentioned, Jovic, who at times couldn't get off the bench, but every time he did, he scored. And people are like, "What? You're nuts! Start this guy. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
You're talking about a player who is so essential and so part of it. To see him scoring a brace for Sporting Kansas City is like, how are you not able to keep someone so essential?
And he didn't want to leave.
He didn't want to leave. So at the end of the day, I look at this and say, this is more of a symptom of MLS's rules fighting way too hard for parity. Way too hard for every season. And I think this is part of a bigger conversation when we talk about USL and how, what they need to be solvent isn't necessarily competing with MLS directly, and promotion and relegation coming. There are so many things MLS need to kind of do to kind of get rid of the MLS 1.0-ness of it. And this is one of those. There's zero reason why LA Galaxy fans are going in that stadium and watching a wooden spoon team less than 8 months from a championship.
4 months.
4 months. I couldn't remember exactly the day. Then lifting the trophy when you're one of the best teams, winning the MLS Cup without your best player who got injured in the game before. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be the way. And I'm not saying you should be able to have a dynasty, but if you have the wherewithal to build a great team, why can't you keep it together?
Yeah. If there was 10 MLS teams, I'd be like, okay, I understand this rule, because you obviously want a little bit of pride. There's 30 teams. You don't even need this. I would argue you don't even need this rule anymore.
Can I tell you something?
Okay, I get you hit the button, so I know it's going to be pretty hot.
I don't think this is just for parity. Now, as I just thought about it, and also thinking about my accountant in his Maxima /office, I'm thinking about why would this rule be in place? And I think it's to protect the owners. Because now, and I know you're thinking, that's crazy. The owners, they have to get rid of the team. What about all the other owners? If you allow a team to stay together, the only way to get a player off that team. So think about Jovic. Jovic wins MLS Cup, has a great season. A team like Sporting Kansas City says, we want him. LA Galaxy's like, we're not going to get rid of Jovic. He's one of our best players.
Yeah.
So how do you get him off the team? You have to buy him for more money. Now that's not the case. Now LA Galaxy are hamstrung.
Yeah.
So now they have to get rid of him. So now he can move to another team for lesser cost. Now it's not the player making a ton more money. Now that the player's not the one making money, it's the owner saving money. That's why they're doing it. Damn.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
This is like MLS CIS. You know what I mean? I should take my guy.
Yes. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know how profound it was that you needed to hit the button, but
I think that's insanely profound, because I think we all sit here and argue, why are these rules here? Oh, it's for parity. Oh, it's for this. It's not just for parity. It's all the owners are like, wait, whoa.
Well,
you found great players.
I would argue
I want to be able to buy them for cheaper.
And
it's a way for the players not to make more money.
Foundationally, it's still about parity, because MLS, the reason they even have...
Buddy, that's the sizzle, not the steak.
The reason they have like discovery rights in the first place is because they don't want MLS teams bidding against each other for players. So they also don't want them arguing and fighting.
How stupid is discovery rights? You discovered... What are you, Copernicus? You discovered a player?
It is stupid.
It's stupid. What is it? You faxed first?
It serves a purpose in that they don't want the league to crumble, so they don't want the owners fighting amongst each other.
At some point, you're such a good bowler, you got to remove the bumpers. At some point you are. And MLS is now at a place where they're getting $500 million for a franchise.
I would argue...
hold on, $500 million. This isn't a little side project for NFL owners anymore, like it was 20 years ago. $500 million is coming into this league for one team. That San Diego's valuation is higher than most of the teams in the Premier League. And they have that kind of money. And you're worried about them spending a little more on a Dejan Jovic? It's crazy. It's crazy that we're still talking about this. It's 2025. The year of our good Lord, which is, again, the name of my accountant is Maxima.
I understand. I don't think it's as stupid as you are describing.
Ridiculous.
It's a self-preservation thing, and it's not about MLS. It's an American sports thing.
No, this is someone not doing anything because they're afraid of failing at it. That's exactly what it is.
That's not what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Look, they are explaining. I understand the fear of failure, but it does serve again. And whether you agree with it or not, it's not about it. It's like whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. I understand why they do it.
Let me put it in a way you can understand. These are broke boy movements. Broke boy movements.
How about the 500 million?
That's what I'm saying. Why are you making broke boy movements?
Because look, I think
you got motion, MLS. Spend that
the league is trying to compete with other leagues, and it's not about owners competing with other owners.
What do you mean $500 million for a team?
I understand that. So if they're trying to just preserve their own league and not have bidding wars amongst the owners, they're trying to have a unified. It's a closed league.
And who suffers because of that? The player.
Maybe that is possible.
Dejan Jovic is good enough as an example.
But
We're not simply talking about
why are they now
Jovic.
talking about possibly introducing salary caps in Premier League? Because the players, the players want they are getting paid a ton, but now they're thinking about thinking about parity. They are thinking about how to make it a little bit. They probably won't. I'm just saying,
because then those players are gonna be like, I'm going to Saudi, or I'm going to
and that's the nature of the competitions amongst the league.
At some point, MLS needs to be a part of that conversation. When you're getting $500 million for a team,
but that's
you're now at that level.
But that's like
this
saying,
isn't small bucks.
That's
anymore.
like saying Bundesliga is stupid for doing the 50+1. That is what they want to do.
No. That's different than this.
The players don't make as much money. There's less money they're taking in less sponsorship money.
That's a function of the league not getting as many sponsors. That's not a function of the league creating a rule specifically to stop players from making more money and to stop their owners from spending more money to get players. That's
that's not stupid.
Yeah, this is basically you're redlining. This should be illegal by work standards. You're creating a rule so that the player themselves, the asset by which you make your money, doesn't make as much of the money, and you get to keep more of it. By definition, it should be as far as regulations. And
what do the players do?
Work.
They don't play there. They go to places where they can make more money. Right? That's
where.
If the Bundesliga players, if you are very, very good, they're like, hey, I can get more money somewhere else, so they just leave.
That's a function of those leagues drawing in more sponsorship money. That's not or TV money. That's not a function of Bundesliga creating a rule specifically for players to make less money. You have to understand.
But the rule exists. When you're creating a rule, the
50+1 is not a rule built to protect the owners and to stop players from being able to negotiate higher fees.
It's not about it's apples to oranges. I'm just saying that each league does their own thing and has their own vision or identity of how the league should run in the country. But you're not understanding.
If I'm creating a rule specifically for players to be able to make less money and not be able to negotiate higher fees so that protects the owners,
right,
then that is one thing. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I understand
50+1 is a way to protect the fans from not losing their clubs. That's not a way for players to make less. They didn't put 50+1 and go, now the players will make less, and us owners with the cigars eating a big old steak get to keep all the money. That's the rules that MLS have in place.
I don't think it's necessarily.
I think you're a bit naive.
No. I don't think they're doing it so that they make more money. They're doing it so that they don't. I'm saying they don't compete with each other. Right. So therefore, they're thinking like the league could suffer if we're all bidding against each other. It's a self-preservation thing.
Hold on a second. If they're all bidding against each other, they're bidding against each other for what?
For the rights to a player.
A player.
Yes.
And in that case, that player would be making more and more and more money every time that bid is increased.
Correct.
They're trying to stifle that.
Yes.
Because by paying the player
why
less,
are they trying to stifle that?
Because then they get to keep costs down.
Right. To preserve the league. That's what they're trying to do.
And I'm telling you, that's a fool's, whatever the other word is here.
Even if it is, but that's what they're saying. That's what it is
and
that they're doing.
That's dumb. You're now getting $500 million. You don't need to protect the league by not giving a player $200,000 less. It's stupid.
Okay. I mean, whether it is stupid or not, that is why they're doing it.
Right. And I'm saying that it should be illegal.
Okay. Sure.
50
Anyway.
plus 1 ain't got nothing to do with Carter is walked out of the room 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Let us know
Carter,
what
you think it was an elbow or you think it was a hand?
We got to talk some U.S. Women's National Team. I will talk about it right after this. The U.S. Women's National Team are back. They are playing in 2 matches.
2 friendlies against Brazil.
The first one just happened. Trinity Rodman made her return to the U.S. Women's National Team after, I believe, winning Olympic gold.
So necessary.
And scores 5 minutes into the game. We have to address the shock, the shocking celebration, because
the goal Selly's crazy. We talk about this with Lola Bonta all the time, right? Selly's, especially in the women's game, they seem to go mega viral, especially when they're this creative.
Exactly. And Lola Bonta, this is kind of a similar celebration because Lola Bonta had the hammy.
Hurts.
No, the hammy.
The hammy to a twerk.
Hammy to a twerk.
Hammy to a twerk was great and it ended up going viral. Other NFL players did it. And I think the NFL player actually got in trouble for it, if I'm not mistaken. So Trinity Rodman saw it and said, I think I can make a splash.
Right. And Trinity Rodman, the reason she has missed a lot of the U.S. Women's National Team call-ups is because she has a back injury that she's dealt with, I think, pretty much her whole career. Or definitely the last 2-3 years.
Remember how nervous we were when she jumped to give Magic Johnson a high five?
Yeah.
We're like, easy on the landing. You know what I mean?
He's very tall.
Yeah.
Don't be jumping like that. And but no, Trinity Rodman. The cameras didn't really catch the celebration in too much detail. We got a short snippet of it, but we're looking at it now. So shout out to CJ Fogler on Blue Sky, CJ0, and we see her. And she is she holds her back and she's like,
she starts walking like, I'm in pain
gingerly, and then she does
psych
to the hair, the hair flick, the pink hair flick, and so it's a beautiful I'm just glad she's happy, but more than anything it's like, yo, Trin, don't be scared. It's like that. We don't need all that.
When Lola Bonta did it, we were like, oh no. When she did it, we were all like, no! It's a national team game. It's a hard place. But that's what I think makes me love it so much. There's also an iconic photo of her flipping up her hair. And because her braids are pink, from behind, it looks like a heart. A beautiful photo. I had seen the name of the photographer. Apologize, I don't remember who it was or whatever, but no, it would take marketing teams millions of dollars to try to get this photo, and it just happened mid-game,
organically. Beautiful. Jen K. Chu, I believe is the name, but this is a really, really cool photo.
Absolutely iconic.
And it's one of those things that you couldn't, even if you told her to in a photo shoot to make it it's just so literally so perfect. You gotta use
ChatGPT 4 to do this, and it wouldn't look good.
This is fantastic. Yeah, this is this is an example of why we don't need AI. You know what I mean? This is why.
I wouldn't say that we don't need it, but this is an example of why sports photographers are important.
Exactly,
and photographers in general, because this is something that is, they say a photo is worth 1,000 words or whatever. This is 1 billion words. This is
a really, really cool photo.
This is iconic. This inspires and it's thought and ideas
and it's perfect
emotions
for a player like Trinity Rodman, who is we're going to talk about the game a little bit in a second, but Trinity Rodman, since we interviewed her, I believe in 2020, something like that. She was supposed to start her college soccer season. COVID happens. She just goes right into the draft. She, I believe, is drafted first or second. I think second. By the Washington Spirit. And we have her on the show before she's ever played a game. And we've already sensed a certain level of confidence and maturity that you just don't expect in an 18 or 19-year-old girl at the time.
Her comfortability with media was also crazy.
And it's always something I always find that we're an interesting barometer of where players are, where soccer players are, because they are not used to talking to comedians. We've spoken to 30-year-olds that are weird talking to us.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll do interviews and they're like, "Hey, I'm not funny. I don't want to." I'm like,
buddy, none of you are. Yeah, relax.
but you know, player like Trinity Rodman is like, yeah, whatever. Who cares? Like she was very, very comfortable and confident, and so it's made me proud to see moments like this for her. Like obviously an iconic photo that I think is going to live for years. That people
and
are going
to. There should be posters.
But it's something where I think she's managed the spotlight so well, and she's one of the few players that dances on TikTok every week, and nobody's like, well, do you think Trinity is focusing too much on TikTok? Or she's like, no.
Her personality is clearly built for the spotlight.
Yeah, and she's delivering on the field as well. So that's just great to see. So
can't wait to see Triple Espresso back together, man.
Exactly. So U.S. Women's National Team ended up winning this game 2-0. The goal by Trinity Rodman, I think, it was a lovely goal, but probably overshadowed by the assist and
from Alyssa Thompson.
Alyssa Thompson is a player that. Also, a young player. When did she join Angel City? She's very young, at a pretty young age. And I think we're all sort of seeing these players like grow up in real time, and also grow up like on the pitch and maturing and making I'm just becoming a bigger, I don't know, threats like on the pitch. And she sat. I don't even know who the Brazilian player was that she sat on the ground.
I've never seen a crossover.
I mean, it was Allen Iverson was jealous.
I was going to say, Trinity Rodman's that playing in the NBA because it looks like Alyssa Thompson.
And Alyssa Thompson has been doing this also for Angel City, a little bit like an underachieving team, but she's becoming almost the most important player on the team, and so it's great to see her get these opportunities for the national team as well. So they got
another one. They got another one coming up against Brazil. So
we'll see.
We get to see some more highlights.
Lineups are going to be different. We'll probably see Lily Johannes starting, who also looks fantastic. And this is. I don't know.
The U.S. keep making talent in this league.
And also we got to just mention the goalkeeper who gets her first cap, Fallon Tullis-Joyce, goalkeeper for Manchester United, and who I don't know if she even played at the youth level, or I don't know her background exactly.
I just know primarily whenever I would talk to Darian Jenkins, she was always talking about Tullis-Joyce, about how incredible she is, how she thought she was next. So it's nice to see her get that start, get that first cap, and she looked incredible.
Yeah, she did look great. I think made 6 saves or something along those lines. But it's sort of rare for players to like go under the radar, especially for the women's national team. And
didn't Sentner also not get any national team?
Yeah, but usually get an opportunity when you're fairly young, like 22. Fallon Tullis-Joyce is 28 years old, so that's. I mean, you also think
late bloomer,
Alyssa Nair dominating, but also not. But you know, to be a 28 first cap is kind of wild. It's a little Wondolowski-esque.
Yeah. It's a little different, and we haven't seen it. But this also goes to show that Emma Hayes. Thank you. I was going to say Emma Roberts. We all know that's not her. Emma Hayes is clearly not leaving any stone unturned. I think that's one of the positives from the previous, regime.
Yeah,
it felt like we kind of knew what was happening. This is, hey, everyone's gonna get a shot.
New blood. Yeah.
You go up.
All right. So shout out to their next game is coming up. I think like on Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe, some of that. And so we'll be on the lookout for that too. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of
Hit that
Cooligans.
like button, just like I like. Give me another cookie. Give me something. Give me a sweet.
Yeah, you get the little railroad.
Nice
railroad cookie. So
guys, hit the like button. It's super important. If you're listening to this, go to our YouTube channel and then just play the podcast and walk away. But hit the like button.
Wow, what a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, but because you listened to it already. But if you're watching, hit that like button. It's super important.
If you work at like a Chinese clip farm.
Oh my God. Buddy, put the 48 Samsungs on or Hawaii's.
Just play our show 48,000 times.
Yeah, come on, please. But make sure you hit the like button, all 48,000 phones. Super important. It's almost even smarter. It's more important than a subscription.
Okay, look at that. Alexis, our SEO specialist, is on it. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Blue Sky if you have not yet, at soccercooligans.com. Blue Sky is cake. Anyway, we'll be back.
I gotta Google this stupid meme now.
We'll be back on Thursday with a brand new episode. A lot of fun stuff upcoming in the next few weeks. So make sure you subscribe and follow and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you have not yet. All right. We'll see you on Thursday, everybody. Enjoy. Peace.
Love you guys.